Hello, my foodie friends! We're kind of back to normal now since hopefully we've solved a lot of the equipment failure issues we've been having for the last several months. So hopefully we've got all that resolved in time to look at all of the vintage cookbooks that I picked up on my several trips to my local library book sale. And I thought it'd be really fun to start out this month with a whole look into the vintage Campbell soup catalog of cookbooks that I picked up. I think this one is going to be really fun, mostly because this is kind of a budget cookbook, get the most for your money kind of recipes, and some of them are pretty interesting. There is a lot of hot dog recipes and what I think is the single worst casserole that I have ever read in a cookbook ever, and I cannot wait to show that to you. So let's go ahead, we'll start cooking, and then we will look into this cookbook and I will show you some of the best and the worst in this particular cookbook. So let's go ahead and get started. We have here what I think is going to be a really good kind of a one skillet meal recipe, and I had a lot of choices in this one, but I picked this particular recipe for one reason. I already had every single item it called for in the recipe, whether fresh or in my pantry or in my freezer. So this is going to give me a chance to use up some things that I need to go ahead and clear out, make room for some more, and I think it's going to be really tasty to boot. So I'm going to go ahead and get the fat in the skillet started, and also our rice, because that is the side that I thought would go really well with this kind of a meal. I hope you can hear me over this chicken sizzling over here, but I'm going to turn the camera around and show you what I've done so far. Now, and in case you didn't hear it the first time, here is our chicken sizzling. I'm going to drain off this fat, put the soup in, and we will let that simmer. The rice is actually already done. I'm just going to keep it warm over here on the back burner. And you can see here, the second step is so easy. We're just going to put in this can of soup, a little bit of thyme, and we're going to let the chicken simmer in this. We've got our vegetables ready. They will go in next, and then we will let that simmer, and this will be done. And we're back. That was a little bit tough trying to get the grease out of there because this skillet's very heavy, but I finally managed. And you'll see I've got the soup in there and the thyme. Now, I did add a little bit of water just so I could get what was in the bottom of the can, kind of swirl it around and get that out so I wasn't wasting anything. But I don't think that's going to hurt anything. In fact, I think it actually helped, kind of mix in better with the skillet. So we're going to cover this and let it simmer. And you see I've got this on really low heat. So we are going to leave that alone for a little bit. And in the meantime, we will take a look at our cookbook. Now, I did want to show you the one that I picked. I did it, like I said, because I had everything that I needed already. But I also thought that this looked really good. It looked easy to put together, which has turned out to be true. And I knew it was something that we wouldn't mind eating, which brings me to some of these. I know they're trying for a budget. Now you'll see that this was done in 1975, and for some odd reason there does seem to be kind of this obsession with hot dogs. So and some of them sound better than others. I don't mind a good hot dog. I love hot dogs, actually. But some of the combinations didn't seem so great. But then again, some of the other ones, seem to be really good. So I guess it just depends on your personal preference in terms of, what you're willing to put together with your hot dog. You know, we do have hot dogs with cabbage, and we have hot dogs with spaghetti. So, you know, you have some choices in this cookbook. Now, another thing I noticed, there are a lot of recipes that use Spam and also cans of tuna. So they're trying their best to utilize some of the cheapest cuts of meat and protein that they can find, trying to keep this within a budget. But then you have some other things where, you know, they do add, you know, like your beef and chicken and fish and that kind of thing. So, you know, there's a pretty good mix actually of different things that you might want to experiment with. Now, I've actually really enjoyed this cookbook. I think it's really cute. It's got some nice little illustrations throughout the cookbook. It's also got your really great 70s photographs of food in all kinds of natural colors, with every square inch of the picture completely filled, which is my favorite look. You've got some things that I think would be pretty good, and then you've got some other things that probably should stay in the 70s. Overall, I've really enjoyed this little cookbook, but there is a casserole in particular that I think is probably the single worst casserole idea I have ever personally found in a cookbook. I would love for you guys to put in the comments below if you have a worse casserole, but I think you're gonna have a really hard time beating this one. Okay, so let me turn this camera around and show you the world's worst casserole idea. Peanut butter jelly strata. Okay. I don't even know how to explain this. You're making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. You're putting them in a baking dish. You're then going to pour over top of them cream of chicken soup. I thought I had read that wrong the first time I glanced at it. No, it is cream of chicken soup on top of your peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Then you put your milk, eggs, pour that over it, sprinkle it with cinnamon for some strange reason. You refrigerate that for an hour. Then when you uncover it, you actually bake it for 30 minutes. I don't even want to know what they mean by until set. I think that's just a horror I don't even know if I want to think about. Then you serve it with maple syrup or maple flavored syrup. I can't even imagine what possessed whoever was working at Campbell's at the time to pour cream of chicken soup over peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and then treat it like they were pancakes. Now, I don't know. I just cannot wrap my brain around that particular set of ingredients. If anyone wants to try it, bake it, and then let me know in the comments if it was actually any good, then you're braver than I am. Now, I did actually think about making it for this episode just to see what that particular combination would be like, but I was afraid that we would hate it and then I would have this whole casserole that we don't want to eat, and I was thinking that was probably too much food waste, you know. If it wasn't a whole casserole, you know, I'd probably be induced to try it, but I don't actually want to make and then waste that much food on something that I just really don't think we're gonna like. But if you've ever had something like this before, or if you want to go ahead and give it a try, there it is. And I really wish you luck with it. But as for this particular recipe, it's looking really good so far. We'll let that simmer just for a little bit more, and then we'll go ahead and add the rest of our stuff. Okay, this has nothing to do with the Campbell soup recipe, but I just wanted to show you how beautiful that these peas are. These are a type of purple pea, and you can see the flowers actually have this beautiful color to them. And then when they decide to go ahead and make the little pea pod, you can see how it's kind of coming out of this flower right here. It will actually be this beautiful purple color. I have another one right here that's absolutely gorgeous. I cannot wait to try these. And you can see right here, I've got some peas kind of pushing out of these flowers right there. And they just look so beautiful on a trellis with those gorgeous pink and purple flowers. And so that's just a little tiny hint of what's going on in my garden this week. So let's go ahead, go back in and get back to our chicken dinner. Okay, let's hope that we got our mic situation figured out. We've got a new piece of equipment. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
It's always a little iffy at first.
Yep. But I know I say this a lot, but I'm really excited about this one because it looks and smells really like one of those nostalgic, kind of homey meals.
Yeah.
You know, something your mom would have made.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you would have ate it as a kid and gobbled it up because it was so good. So let's go ahead. We're going to stop talking and just dig in. Yep. Almost chicken pot pie without the pie.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna say. It's like a chicken pot pie I remember from being a kid.
Yes. Yeah, so if you don't want to fool around with the pastry, you know, you can just have the insides of the chicken pot pie and you're all set. I think pairing it with the rice was a good call because I think it goes really well together. Something like that kind of, I don't know, you kind of want something, I don't know how to describe it. You just kind of want something really carby.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
good,
it's like,
you know?
it's like the rice kind of replaces the pie crust.
Yeah, yeah.
And, like, well, you know what I mean? It's not.
Yeah, so if you want to, you know, kind of get that little reminiscent taste of a chicken pot pie, you know, you can add some rice to it and just, it's so good. Okay, we're going to try to stop eating just for a little bit. As I'm sure you've guessed by now, we really like this and we would make it again. I would say that this recipe is something that needs to come out of the 70s into the modern world because it's simple. It didn't leave me with a lot to clean up, so I was really happy about that. It's a great tasting meal. I think it's something everyone in your family would actually like.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so it's one of those that you can just kind of come home and throw together.
Yeah.
And you're going to just be glad you did because it's so, like, filling and just homey.
Yeah.
You know, we keep saying that, but it does. It just kind of feels nostalgic. And I really like that. It's something I might have eaten when I was a kid. You know, something mom would have put together. So I really like this. And I was a little worried because you guys know how I love my salt. This doesn't have salt and pepper added to it. It's just thyme. However, you are working with a can of soup.
Right.
You know, and most of the time they tend to be pretty high in sodium.
Yeah.
So you don't need the extra seasoning with it. You know, I think it works, you know, exactly as it was written.
Yeah, definitely. I don't feel like I'm missing anything.
No, I don't either.
And I do feel like salt has a tendency to make all the flavors tie together, and I feel like it's tied together really well.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm not missing that.
It's just perfect by itself.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change anything at this point. I also think this one in particular is making your money go further, you know, so it is a budget cookbook. And I think this actually did it, even in today's economy, because, you know, chicken drumsticks tends to be the cheapest cut of chicken that you can get. You know, they're usually on sale. They're, you know, pretty cheap, I think, in any grocery store you go to. It's just one can of Campbell's soup. And if you want to cut your cost even further, you don't have to get Campbell's soup. You can get the store brand. I just happen to have actual Campbell's because I found it on sale a while ago. And so I kind of stocked up, you know. But yeah, you can cut your cost further by doing that. You know, celery, carrots, onions, that's something you kind of have in your larder anyway. So I think they actually did it. They did a good, tasty meal on a budget. Yeah. So I really like that aspect of it. As far as the cookbook overall, I don't know that I would recommend this cookbook if you're really wanting lots of vintage, thrifty meals. Because I do think there are some recipes in here that needs to stay in the 70s and never come out again. Like that peanut butter and jelly casserole I showed you. Mitch was horrified by that one, and when I told him, I was like, maybe we should do it, he was like, I don't think I could. I really don't think we could have stomached it. I don't need, but that one I would imagine is probably pretty bad. And there were some other questionable ones in here that was just like, it's kind of too 70s, if you know what I mean.
We probably showed you the best one.
Yeah, we probably showed you, pulled out the best one. Now, there was some other, I think, some gems in there. You know, we'll be returning to it, and I'll be cooking out of this more. If I do find some lemons, I'll let you know. But I think for this cookbook in particular, if you do want to pick it up on eBay, you know, you probably need to be a more serious, like, vintage cookbook collector. Right. Rather than someone that's like, oh, I want to actually use every recipe in here. Yeah. You know,
there's a lot of duds in it.
Yeah, you're not going to use everything in it. Now, we are going to go ahead and wrap it up so we can hurry up and dig in. But first, for next week, we are going to continue on our journey through vintage Campbell's cookbooks that I picked up at the library book sale. And I'm really excited about next week because I'm going to be able to do a cookbook giveaway. Oh. Yeah, so I'm really excited about that. And I found not one, but 2 copies of this particular vintage gem from the 70s. So we're going to be able to have 2 winners. So I'm really excited about that. So stay tuned and watch next week to see if you'll have a chance at snagging a Campbell's 1970s cookbook. Thank you for watching this week. Hope you try this. I think you will love it. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
And if you like historical cooking and unusual cookbooks, here's 2 more videos you might enjoy. And make sure to like and subscribe for more foodie adventures.